Okay, so I believe this is called the AC condenser, I think. This is the part in your, right outside the firewall that basically makes your air conditioner blow cold. This is where the cold happens, as far as I'm aware anyway. So, I have removed everything at this point. So this is kind of the update. I've peeled this panel back, I've loosened up this here, and I have removed all of that. It's like a giant plastic piece that has your blower motor, your AC unit in there, and then the next step for me here, this is the heater core lines going in, and those are gonna follow to, so you have those hooked up to this. This is the bottom one, and this is the top one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply loop this one down into this one. I'm going to get one of those connector pieces, which is exactly what I did on the Lincoln too. But I just want to make a note of this. Like, do you see, like down here, prime example. So to remove this giant plastic unit here, there's that screw down there in the corner. You can't get to that hardly. I mean, you have to get it from underneath the car somehow, if you can even find it. This is the big mess of wires that controls everything, so I've cut that back. But you can see how many, they're all 10 millimeter nuts and bolts and stuff that hold this together. But, I mean, to remove this in one piece is damn near impossible, because you got to get rid of this support. You got to get rid of all this heater hose here. You got to get to all these bolts. You got to remove all this stuff, and you can't really reach these bolts from up top. You kind of have to get them from beneath, if you can even see them. Because I mean, all this stuff is, I mean, look at how close it is to the back of the engine, and your exhaust, and your valve cover. I mean, I have to say, in this car, stuff is just crammed in here. I mean, there's plenty of room in the front, but this engine is shoved so far back, everything is right up against the firewall. So, I mean, anything that goes bad on the back side of the engine, I honestly don't know how you get to it. And it's not like you can take the body off the car. It's not like you can loosen something up to kind of shove things out of the way. It's just, you just have to take off layers and layers of parts. It's terrible. I mean, I understand they gotta squeeze this stuff in there. I may have started a coolant leak inadvertently. I busted off this little valve thingy here, and that might be my new coolant leak there. That's alright, this stuff is all gonna be taken off here, so no big deal. Anyway, that's the update. This frees up a tremendous amount of space. I mean, this stuff is, I mean, it came out to like here, you know? I mean, it was all the way out to the dipstick, and then all the way to this fender, inner fender. So, this gives me a lot more room to work with to access everything else for any future modifications. I don't know yet about the back tires. I've been looking at this and thinking about it, and thinking. So I'm kind of wanting to go with a Mad Max style creation. So up here, this inner fender well here, this is just a plastic piece. Turn this down a little bit. So yeah, this is just a piece of plastic held in there with a whole bunch of screws, and that's it. But I thought, well, this is designed to take a 255 wide tire from the factory, which means it's going to accommodate that. It takes a 255 50/16. So my thinking was, I'm going to narrow the tire a little bit. I may run like a 235 75/16, and I think I can get away with that. Without, I'm not sure if, I'd probably have to cut into this a little bit here, but this is some, these are brake lines, I believe. So you want to be careful with those. I think they're brake lines. I don't think they're fuel lines. They may be fuel lines. I don't know. I haven't looked at that. But this part here, your frame is up in here somewhere. So really, you could definitely trim this back a few inches to give yourself, more room for the tire. And then same thing back here. You could just trim, just an inch or two out of this area here, kind of blend it in without having to cut into this up here. That's actually what I'm trying to avoid. I don't want to cut into this piece. That's what I'm trying to avoid, no matter what I do. But if I have to, I have to. And then I may get like a universal fender flare kit for like a Jeep or a truck. And if I trim out a couple inches all along here, I'm sure that will give me plenty of clearance to put a big off-road tire into it. And then if I want to tidy it up a little bit and make it look cleaner, I'll put a plastic, fender flare, like for a Jeep, I guess. And then that will make it look a little more complete and hide some of the cutting that I'm doing here. My main concern with cutting this is that it's fiberglass. This I'm not concerned with. It's this that I feel is going to be a different beast to work with, and I have a feeling this stuff is going to want to splinter and crack real bad. So even if I do a pretty nice cut, even if I control however I end up cutting it, I have a feeling this is just going to want to break and shatter and have chunks coming out of it, and I don't really want that. So that's my dilemma. We'll see. I may end up buying a tire, take one of the front wheels off, put a bigger tire on there, see if it fits in here without doing any modification. And then maybe I'll just, if the tire looks big enough, if it looks kind of more aggressive, maybe I'll just leave it. But I have a feeling this part, we're going to have to trim into this a little bit. So anyway, that's the update for now.